This month, millions of young students are leaving home for the first time, while others are starting their final years of university and getting ready to start working on their masters or PhD, or even, joining the workplace. Video is a central part of the modern curriculum. You've got learning materials, recorded lectures, or remote video, like going to seminars or working on group projects. You might even have to submit video presentations, so if you're a student, you want to get on top of this. I should have practiced saying curriculum. I don't think I've said that out loud for a while. This is Square's TV App Lab number 111, where I show you how to use the tools I've created to look better on video. I'm Michael Forrest and I make video pencil, shoot and CueCam presenter. So let's start with some updates. To be honest, I have just been fully immersed in the CueCam behind the scenes rebuild. I've been doing some long live streams, which I'll talk about in a bit later on. But I'm just realizing that whole you think you find you're 80% of the way finished on something, and there's still 50% of the work left to do. So this is kind of the feeling at the moment. So I'm kind of powering through. Trying not to get too disheartened by how much there is left to do, but also enjoying it. And, I had a moment of, I noticed there was a reality kit framework that I hadn't clocked before. I was like, oh no, I just built a whole framework for no reason. But then I looked into it a bit more and I was like, no, this would give me exactly the same problems I already had. I've done the right thing. I've spent all this time building a new thing. So CueCam Presenter, basically, currently, the transitions are a little bit lit, and it's kind of pretty hard to add new stuff to as it is. It's sort of like quite a complex thing. And I'm basically working on a framework to make it a lot simpler to think about, a lot simpler to add to, and just a lot more kind of correct and perfect in terms of transitions and polish. So that's what I've been working on. So watch this space. But let's just get on with the main thing, shall we? CueCam presenter, video pencil and shoot for students. So what is with all the pillows? I'm walking through the city. I'm seeing a lot of young people carrying pillows. Let me get the microphone out of the way. Why are they carrying all these pillows? That's what I want to know. They're leaving home for the first time. Step one of student life is making sure you've got a cozy place to sleep, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, bottom tier, cozy, pillow. I should have used live titles for that. Let's do it like this. Cozy pillow, right? So that's step one. So you go to Edinburgh Primark, get yourself a pillow and a duvet. But what's step two? Well, I mean, how should I know is the first question. It's a long time since I went to university, and I've been in the world of work since, 2000. So, when I was studying back in 1996, I had to go to the computer room to use the internet, which had about 14 websites on it. And if I didn't get to the library before everyone else, then I couldn't get the books out that I needed. So I just couldn't get the books. Lecturers used overhead projectors and drew on those plastic film with dry white markers, and used these big mechanical chalkboards where they'd sort of write the equation, like we were sort of deriving thermodynamics equations, and he'd write it all out, and then he'd push the board up, and then he'd write that, and then he'd it'd be more like this. Push the board up, you see the back of his head, he pushes the board up, and then he sort of walks along to the next big board, starts on that one, pushes that up, walks up to the third one, writes on that, pushes that up, writes. It was hard to stay awake. And it was, it was a different time. So step two for me was to go to the bookshop and spend most of my student grant on physics textbooks before heading to the bank to ask for an overdraft. So hopefully that's not you. Luckily, my partner has worked in universities for years. And so she was part of getting Imperial College London to transition to remote and hybrid teaching back in 2020. And she knows this student world inside out. So she helped me write this video today. So hopefully I'm not completely talking out of my, talking nonsense. So 2025, what's step two? Well, it's tech, isn't it? You can't learn without tech these days. I mean, many programs So what tech do you need? Many programs provide. I just noticed a bit of repetition in my post. I'd copied something. Many programs provide students iPads, right? I know the one that my partner was involved with. They all got iPads. That's in fact, Video Pencil was developed on one of the student iPads that we kind of like borrowed. And so Apple offers education discounts on Macs. So hopefully this is you, right? That you've managed to get a Mac. If not, it might be worth the overdraft in the long term, given how quickly a Chromebook or Microsoft Surface turns into a doorstop. Meanwhile, this MacBook Air has been in use for like 8 years already, and it's still going strong. Like, if you get yourself an Apple product, it's probably going to stick with you for a bit longer than one of these like things. So I'm going to assume, like, if you're still here, you got yourself a shiny Mac or iPad, and we can get on to step 3. So what have we got? We've got step 1, pillow, cozy pillow. Perfect, good app. Step 2 is tech, right? And so step 3 is obviously, it's going to be something I've made, isn't it? That's what this is all about today, isn't it? But before we get on to step 3, I just want to say, if you're doing a master's or you're doing a PhD or you're job hunting, even if you're not a new student, you might be continuing on with one of these things or getting ready for work placements and job interviews, and all this stuff is going to be relevant to that as well. So step 3 is software. For some reason, it's coming from this side. That's fine. But unfortunately, as a student, you are going to have to use some janky tech. Oh, this is why this is here. Look, this is, I just put Blackboard is this kind of student thing. If you're not a student and you've been spared it, this is just like I went onto the internet and searched Blackboard, and just the first thing that comes up is this sort of stuff. And then like with Teams as well, like, we all know this stuff is not great, but you're going to be forced to use this stuff. This is just the way it goes. Basically, big companies like Microsoft and whoever makes Blackboard sell to the people in the institutions that don't actually really have to use it. So it'll look all polished in the presentations, in the PowerPoint presentations, but actually the students hate it most of the time, and the teachers hate it. But there is a way to take the edge off, right? Especially when it comes to video. So with video, hey Neil, welcome. With video, right? Titles. Video is as I say, central part of the modern curriculum. Said it right that time. Either as learning materials or recorded lectures or remote video, like going to seminars or collaborating on group projects. You might need to submit presentations in video form, and you might face restrictions when you're starting out, like being forced to use PowerPoint as you progress. But as you sort of go beyond that undergraduate thing or into the workplace, or you do stuff that isn't, like sort of limited and like prescribed by the course or whatever, it's always a good idea to have some better tools in your belt. So here is a meme, because I heard the young people like memes, because CueCam's my thing. I'm now going to explain it so that this is, this one that, do we like him? I don't know, but this is going to be you. So when we're working with video, I've been doing this video stuff for ages now, so I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on the challenges, and all the software I've been building has been to sort of address these challenges. But I'm going to sort of give you 3 major challenges that you're going to face, especially when you're starting out with video and remote video and recording videos. And the first one in remote video is screen sharing. It's clunky and, it's awkward, and I'll get into why in a minute. Second thing is editing. It's a nightmare. It takes forever. It's a really difficult skill. And the third thing is developing confidence. So these are 3 things that I've been investing all my time into smoothing over and applying technology to for the last several years. So the first one, screen sharing. I think screen sharing should be the last resort, not your only option. That's just me. I think when you're on a Teams call, let's not pretend it's going to be Zoom. When you're on a Teams call, you should not have to share your screen just to put a picture up, just to do a sketch, right? That's just too much. And also, half the time these things are locked down, and the administrators aren't going to like give you access. So you don't want to be reliant on screen sharing just to be able to sort of go, hey, look, what if we thought about this and we did this? And, you don't want to be reliant on screen sharing to show a picture or something. Because remote calls are fine up until the point where you want to go beyond talking on camera. As soon as you want to illustrate a point, you're going to end up dropping a link in chat or having to share your screen. And I believe that screen sharing, again, should be the last option. And then we talk about editing. If you have to submit a video, you might end up having to edit. So editing is a skill that can only be developed with experience, and it's incredibly time consuming. And more to the point, it's different to presenting. Like you might want to become a clear communicator and a clear presenter, but that's not the same as being a good video editor, especially of yourself, right? So if you leave recording, a presentation until the last minute, like just enjoy staying up for 2 nights straight just to trim out the good bits. But then, you might not even be allowed to edit your presentation, so you'd best get a really good take all in one. So how do you approach these things with confidence? If you're not used to speaking in a group call or filming yourself, then there are ways to make things easier. So for a teleprompter can be invaluable, not just for remembering what you want to say, right? Like I haven't memorized this. As you may be able to tell, I am reading through the camera lens, right? So I know exactly what I'm going to say, and I'm able to keep eye contact with the camera. And so everyone I'm talking to is seeing me making eye contact. I'm not like shuffling notes. I'm not like, I'm talking to you, and that's really powerful. So, that might sound advanced or expensive, but it's not. With the right tools, it's really not. So this is where CueCam comes in. It's a Mac app that gives you a virtual camera, a teleprompter, and many other production tools. What's a teleprompter? What's a virtual camera? Why would you want one? Well, let me go into that a bit more now. So a virtual camera. CueCam's virtual camera makes it trivial to share a quick picture or a second camera pointed at your book without your face disappearing from view, and you can switch between showing different things without the friction of a screen share. It even lets you draw on your webcam. Using your iPad, you can pull up a panel for sketching. We can go, let's have a blank board. Just bring that out. I could say, okay, well, I've been thinking about it like this. I thought like maybe the epistemological something or other lives here, but actually it sounds like you're diegetically, you can say whatever you like. You can bring a blank board out. You can put it away. When you bring it back, oh, look, the picture's still there, right? All this kind of little things that I've thought about. Or you could have the camera pointing at a book and you could be sort of drawing around passages. Or you could like take a picture of a page and like even video pencil, you'll be able to zoom and pan around that page and your drawings will stay in the right place. So that's really powerful. How does this virtual camera work? Well, you basically just install CueCam on your Mac and it then sort of says, can I install the virtual camera extension? And then you can use that camera extension in Teams or any other video apps. So it's just like a little shim between you and your meeting software that allows you to kind of throw in some, magic sparkles, should you so want to. So Video Pencil, if you put that on your iPad, it's going to connect so Video Pencil is how I'm drawing, is how I'm doing this, right? This is an iPad app, which I've just got my iPad propped in front of my Mac so that I can just like draw stuff easily. It's going to it just automatically connects to CueCam. I can see myself, so I can sort of accurately kind of draw. And I'm not, I need to stay still as well. I can accurately draw on my webcam because I can see it on the iPad screen. And it just works automatically, right? And so whatever you're sharing or wherever you are, you can just see that, right? And in this case, I'm sort of showing, I've shared this like map and I'm circling it. And you also see that it's got the speaker notes from CueCam and you can remote control the Mac from it as well, like with the next button. So this is all, and you've got all your different tools down here. So there's loads of stuff that comes with it. So CueCam is not just the Mac app, it's also this iPad app. And there's another app called Shoot, which I'll just mention in a moment. Teleprompter puts your notes, as I've said, in front of your camera lens so you can read them without breaking eye contact. So TV presenters and professional speakers use teleprompters all the time. So these glass panels, like to us, they're just transparent, but there's a screen down there and the text from that screen is being just angled up to the speaker's eyes so that they can read what they need to say, and they'll have someone like sort of like scrolling up through their speech, and so that they sort of can stay on track. And here's what a TV teleprompter looks like. So there's a camera, the camera is back here, and then there's a screen down here, and then this glass just reflects that up so that you're looking through the glass down at the script into the camera lens, right, as you speak. So that's what a teleprompter is. But you probably don't, have a production crew, but you can still use a teleprompter, and you don't even need to read it for it to be useful. Right? You don't even need to be putting a script up there for it to be useful because of this eye contact thing. So here's how CueCam does it. So if you do, I'm using a real teleprompter, an Elgato prompter. It's like $150 or something. Like it's not too much, but then you've got to set it up, and you've got to have another camera. So it's a bit more complicated than the second option. But this is what it looks like if you have a hardware teleprompter. You have, so here's you. That's not me, obviously. And then your notes are going to be here. Right, you just and basically Q is CueCam because it's cue cards. So rather than scrolling, you sort of make some cards, and then those cue cards will appear as you press next, 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 and so you'll always be able to see. To be honest, I would actually probably have these cards. I would just put them straight over my face, right? If it was just me, and that's actually I do have them a little bit below, just so I can still see myself, but it's close enough for it to look like I'm looking in the camera. But what you can do with CueCam, you don't need all that stuff if you've got an iPhone, because CueCam also lets you use your phone as a webcam and connects back to it, and it can put the teleprompter notes. Actually, because the camera's here on the iPhone, the text will actually appear like over here. So you'll be kind of looking there so that your eyes are kind of closer to the lens. So because we can't look through glass here, so we've just got to sort of put them near the lens, but then it still works the same way. You're using it as your camera for your Mac. And it's just really powerful, and again that just works automatically. You stick the app on your iPhone, CueCam will see it if they're on the same network or connected over USB. All you got to do is select shoot as the camera. Automatically it shows the program feed. Automatically it shows it shows those teleprompter things, and in both cases you're seeing a video feed as well, so that doesn't have to be you. That can be your Zoom call or your Teams call, right? That can be the person you're talking to. So if it's one-to-one, this is great because you're doing a call, you're looking directly at the other person. You're not like looking slightly below, like sort of under their chin. You're looking straight at them. And this is just really handy. And the way I tend to do it is I will still, if I'm doing a presentation, because sometimes you're not presenting, you're just like in a group chat and you're putting your hand up in the webinar or whatever. But sometimes you're doing a presentation. So I don't know how this works on Teams. I avoid it like the plague. But like in Zoom, you can say that you want to see yourself when you're talking. And then that just means you can sort of check what you're sharing looks right and all that stuff. But when someone else starts talking, you'll be able to see them, right? So that's kind of the way I do it with Zoom. But yeah, it's just really useful to be able to see that. You see the other person on the camera while you're talking, right? But yeah, how do you get your notes into the teleprompter? So this is what, so I've just got to check, yeah. So CueCam has this super efficient text editor for setting up cue cards. So what you're seeing here is, these are the cue cards. Right, so I'll zoom in, and this is like one cue card. But these are sort of slightly fancier cue cards. Usually you just have your notes like that. And that is what would come up into the teleprompter. And so you just be able to talk confidently because you can read off like Barack can, or the newsreaders. But what CueCam also lets you do is like add titles. So you see we've got an image there, which is appearing there. We've got a title, which is appearing there. So it's super efficient to sort of like add in a little bit extra as you go. And this is using markdown syntax just to let you sort of like put stuff in. You can copy paste notes from different apps that will bring the images in. There's all sorts of power to it. And of course, like up here, you can see there's like, you can add text, you can add images, you can add videos, you can share your screen, you can share different cameras. And then there's loads of like super advanced stuff, like you can trigger different things happening if you want to get fancy. Like I'm using it today to live stream. That's how I'm playing the music at the right time, showing a video. That's how I'm like moving through the teleprompter, moving through different scripts, right? It's very powerful. But really, even if you just have like 3 cue cards with a bit on them, when you start your presentation, you're going to be set, right? Like you're going to be ready for anything. But because you can put that extra stuff in, but it's also nice to keep it a secret and just talk, so no one knows you're doing something special. So maybe if you throw in a drawing here and there, like that just maybe they it lets them know that something extra is happening. But you could just put your text in, and it's just going to look like you really know your stuff, right? And that's sort of ties into confidence, which I mean, essentially only really comes with practice. But with CueCam, you'll be less worried about forgetting what you wanted to say, right? And you won't get stuck trying to verbally articulate something when a drawing would make it clear instantly. Like, so you're not going to be scrambling for words when actually, no, I just meant like this, and I saw that over here. You're trying to describe stuff that you could really easily illustrate, but you're trying to talk about it. Um, and you're not like memorizing stuff. CueCam makes it easy to get polished videos in one take, so you get the benefits of editing without wasting a lot of time or having to learn how to edit. All you've got to do is kind of prepare a script, prepare your materials, and then perform, right? So that's really handy. And the good thing about one take recordings is that when you mess up, which you will, like I do whenever I do multiple takes most of the time. Sometimes I get it in one or two, and that's great. But you're going to mess up. But the good thing is, unlike you did a take and it was wonky, and then later you try and edit it and make it right, is that it just doesn't work. This way, you just get a better take each time you try it, right? And it just like, it feels frustrating, but the results and your skills are developing all the time. So it only gets easier as you keep doing it. And that transfers into the real world, right? That's not just like an editing skill or a kind of, that's literally like, okay, I'm just getting better at being myself. It's really true, right? I learned it. I remember being, I learned it through podcasting, right? Like I was recording a podcast every week. And I remember sort of being in a situation with some sort of family members where I don't know, something triggered me and I was feeling a bit insecure. And then I went back and edited the podcast. I was listening to myself. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. I kind of remembered who I am. And then I sort of went back out with that energy and just completely changed the dynamic. And it was so much better because I wasn't like defensive or like being unsure. I was just like me, fully me. And that's something then people could, talk to, and we can chat, and we don't have to agree, or it doesn't even turn into like conflict. It's just like, oh no, I'm just being myself. And that's something you can learn through kind of seeing yourself on video. Because watching yourself back is a great way to become a better speaker. And the better you get, the more confident you're just going to be in general, right? And trust me, like I kind of started too late. You've got a real advantage that you get to start out when you're young as a student. And so with your teleprompter, you're not going to waste hours on memorization, and you can just improve and refine the script and what you want to say as you go, right? You're not kind of like stuck with one take that you kind of had to do in a certain situation. You can like keep refining it and kind of like keep recording it. And if you're, on a video call in a seminar or whatever, you don't want a script, but it's always good to have some notes. And it's quite handy if you did like have something, you just chuck it up in the teleprompter so that you, when it is your turn to talk, you kind of like don't have to, you're not going to get flustered. You're going to have those notes right there. And that's really handy too. And then beyond university, obviously, like video presentation skills are going to carry on into your professional life. And to be honest, you're going to be better on camera than most other people in the companies you talk to at this point. You're going to impress them consciously with your academic achievements and unconsciously through the fact you're making eye contact and you're really articulate. And, you can just do that when you're using systems like this. And you're going to be memorable because you can, at a moment's notice, you can drop in a picture or even like maybe, I don't know if you do this in a job interview, but you can throw in a magic sparkle if you want. And which takes us on to price, right? I really believe that education is incredibly important. But I went to this conference, education conference, and I spoke to different people. And I realized that like institutions aren't really paying for this cutting edge stuff. They're paying for Blackboard and they're paying for Microsoft stuff. They're paying for this jank stuff. So it sort of comes down to the students and teachers to buy the good stuff, which is why I have, made it incredibly affordable for students and teachers. Because I wanted people in education to be able to use it without having to like fight the tech stuff for 6 years before it happens, right? I just want it to be affordable enough that you can just use it. So how much is CueCam? Well, the full version of CueCam costs $14.99 a month, right? Wait, sorry, let's go. So that's $14.99 a month, right? Which, that's not just the Mac app. That's also Video Pencil, which is $99 normally, and Shoot, which is $99. We got $200 worth of apps like included as already. But, That's affordable for normal people, but less so if you're a student. By the way, that's the month by month price. If you pay yearly, it's like $9.99 a month. But if you're a student, then maybe, you're probably not going to want to sort of commit to that kind of thing. So for students, it's, I thought I made, yeah, like for students, it's basically $3.99 a month, right? Or $2.99 if you pay for a year up front. So all you need is an academic email address, and you can get the price, which is um, it's it's like $35.88 for a year, and like when you just got your student loan, that's basically free. I don't even need to say how many coffees that is, but I'm going to now because I've decided, this is. I don't know whether to like act like I'm just coming up with this because it's clearly on the web page that I just published. So like we do want to know what's 35.88 a year in coffee. So that's 35.88. If we divide that by 365, it's probably not every day you're paying for coffee, but that would be 0.09, so 9 cents a day. So if a coffee is like $5, divide that by 0.09, that comes out to about like 50, like, so it's about like a 50th of a cup of coffee. So I went to ChatGPT and said, like, how much liquid is a 50th of a Starbucks coffee? And it said it's about 2 teaspoons. And then I said, hey, can you give me a picture of 2 teaspoons with coffee? And it gave me this picture, which is of 1 teaspoon of coffee. So then I said, oh no, it's got my thing. I said, wait, I just need to practice this. Give me a picture of 2 teaspoons of coffee. It gave me that, right? Then I went and it kind of finally came back with 2. I said, I need something for scale. It's not possible to tell the size. And so it did this, and so I said, like, that could be a baby's hand. I don't know, why not put them next to a cup of coffee? And then it sort of like gave me this. So that's what 2 teaspoons of coffee next to a full cup of coffee. It needs to be an empty cup of coffee, right? You just need to have close enough. Anyway, that's why you don't use AI to like do real stuff. And that probably wasted enough energy to power a school for a whole week. So, let's use those things with care. Lifetime pricing, by the way, is even better. So actually, like, this is this is what I was looking for. I was like, I'm sure I made this into titles. Lifetime is actually normally it's $4.79, and this was by request of at the request of someone in education. We sort of went back and forth on what he thought was reasonable. It was like 200 and something, and he said, I think about 149 sounds about right. And I was like, okay, fine. Lifetime, CueCam presenter, students, education is $149. So that's all 3 apps unlocked forever. So I hope that's kind of like tells you what's there. There's also obviously like a lot to learn. I do like make myself available. I've made loads of tutorials. It might be hard to find the right one, but I think you're young, like you're going to just like pick it up and you're going to be like, oh, how does this work? How does this work? You'll fiddle about with it and you'll be like, oh, cool, it connects to the iPad, and you'll just start drawing and you'll just get it. But yeah, what did we learn today? What have we covered? Well, with a Mac and an iPad, you get secret video superpowers. You get seamless sharing with CueCam's virtual camera. A teleprompter is a great way to be more confident and communicate better on camera. Video making does lead to confidence, right? Making videos with CueCam is a great way to build confidence as you focus on delivery instead of memorization. You don't waste time making PowerPoint slides, and you get into the habit of watching yourself back. And then beyond study, CueCam can go beyond study, and it can enhance your postgraduate journey or your entry into the workplace. Like once you're in the postgraduate plans, like you're not worrying so much about like you're not being restricted in the same way as when you're an undergraduate. And CueCam's education discounts just, I think, make it a no-brainer for students. And if you get it now, you're going to have it forever. Right, so you can bring that with you into the world forever, because it's a lifetime purchase. How do you get CueCam? Get it from the website, which is this. So here's the website. You just go to download now, and basically you don't actually even have to be signed in. But like obviously once you go to purchase, you're going to need to be signed in. But you can just download it and run it on your Mac. So it's fully notarized and signed by Apple. This isn't like a dodgy thing that's going to ask for. The thing is, it does need some permissions. So I am aware that like you probably like you're putting something on your computer that wants access to the network, access to the webcam, but it does need it because it's a camera app. And I'm doing some special things with audio and video that they don't really let you do in the same way through the App Store yet, right? Like so it's just like I kind of need to distribute it through the website for now. And for Shoot and Video Pencil, you can find both of those in the App Store. So here's an iPhone showing Shoot and me. And then here is the iPad showing Video Pencil. And watch out, you don't download, by the way, this is what going to run. Of course, Shoot and Video Pencil are both going to run on iOS 26. You know, if that didn't, that would be a disaster for everyone, wouldn't it? That's not a lifetime license if it stops working in an iPhone update. Obviously, CueCam isn't for iOS; it's just for Mac. So you can get CueCam at CueCam.app. If you're a student or you know a student, feel free to give it a go. Feel free to tell them. So that's me for today. What time is it? past. That's a pretty good show. Come and find us. There's lots of us on Discord. Few hundred people on the Discord channel. Go to squares.tv/Discord and you can get help from me or from other people if I'm not awake. And that's fun. So to play us out today, how much am I going to say here? I'm sorry. I basically have no time to do anything creative at the moment because I'm in a constant state of crunch on CueCam. As I said, like I'm working on this new engine to sort of power it. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but it means I'm not really having any time to sort of just chill at the piano and sort of make something. But so I thought I'd show you a video for one of my songs that sort of in some way harkens back to student days, but probably closer to recent years than I'd like. It's called She's Just Too Much, and it's about a troubled relationship with alcohol, secretly. Don't tell anyone. So I commissioned this video through a website. So sadly, it was made by someone who doesn't seem to understand what that really means, which is not really like being attracted to free beer, but more like when a feeling of rejection triggers a whole bottle of whiskey, you know, drinking that in one sitting. It's just too much, right? So, you know, you're a student. I know these students these days aren't kind of like hitting the alcohol and stuff quite as hard as they did in the late 90s and probably early 2000s. I think everyone's got a bit more sensible. So this is a song about kind of all that. Enjoy, and thanks for joining me, everybody.
She washes away all of the pressure of the day. She makes me forget all of the things that I had come to hate. She polishes white my bloodshot eyes. She makes me speak without compromise. She switches my head from day to night. She's just too much. Just too much. She's just too much.